Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see by the title of this video, this is going to be a spring/summer TBR. So these are kind of like all of the books that I have on my radar for reading over the spring and summer. Tried to keep it mostly like things that embody the feeling of summer, but there are also some other books that I'm working through that aren't really considered summery, so I didn't include those. But I'm really excited for all of these books here. I have a mixture of fantasy, romance, dystopian, one mystery and one memoir. I'm very excited for all of these books. Some of them will be in a Thrifted book talk book haul, which may or may not be up by the time that this video goes up. One of them will be in a thrift haul as well that I don't know if it's up or if it's coming soon. So yeah, I'm really excited to share them all with you guys. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So starting off, we have a cozy fantasy. So this one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. So this one here, you are just following Emily Wilde as she is kind of studying and creating and learning as she writes an encyclopedia about fairies. This is also going to be a trilogy. We got the second book, which is I think called Emily Wilde's and the Other Worlds, out this year, but I really want to read this first, and then I think I want to get the second book when it's the same size as this one, because it came out in the tall paperback size. I'm very excited for this. I've heard great things about this from Rachel Catherine, so got high expectations for this. The next fantasy book is one that I don't currently own, but I do want to get a physical copy of this. It's a new release, so that is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I read Powerless for the first time in June and absolutely loved it. And then I read Powerful I think last month in August, or maybe it was July, I can't quite remember, which is a little novella which you are following her friend. And I loved that as well, so I am really excited to read Reckless. I know that people have been a bit they either love it or they dislike it, but I'm really intrigued to see how the story goes. Basically, if you've never heard of Powerless before, you are in a fantasy world. You have two groups of people. You have the ordinaries and you have the elites. The elites have powers and the ordinaries don't, and you have a dual POV. So you are following Payton, who is an ordinary, and Kai, who is an elite. And Payton is from the slums. Kai is one of the king's sons, so he's in line for the throne, and they have a bit of a run-in, and Payton ends up competing with a bunch of elites in some trials, and the trials basically are to gain the kingdom's respect and stuff, and she obviously doesn't have any powers, and she's in a trial where everyone has powers. It was really good, very fast-paced, very witty, absolutely loved it, and it's kind of like Hunger Games but in a fantasy world, so I'm here for it. And the way that Powerless ended, I'm really intrigued to see what they do with Reckless. The last kind of fantasy book that I have got on my radar at the moment is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. As I'm filming this video, it is September. I don't know when this video will go up, but this is actually my book club's pick with my sister for September, so I'm very intrigued. You have these two characters here who are competing for the same job in this journalist place, so they're rivals, and they don't know, but they're communicating on this magic typewriter, and they don't realize that the letters that they're sending on this magical typewriter is going to the other person. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens. This is a duology. I've got the two books in the series because the covers are beautiful. And again, I've heard so many people absolutely rave about this book, so hopefully I like it as well. Next up, I just have a couple of books that I feel embody summer so well. Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This was actually in my video that I did of this last year, but I just didn't get to it in the summertime. But this one, I've been told, is kind of very similar to The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I read that trilogy for the first time in high school, loved it, and then I did a reread of it last summer. Really enjoyed it. I really hope that I like this. Childhood friends where something happens and they don't talk, but then they go to this summer house thing, and I'm guessing that she might still have feelings for him or something. So yeah, very, very intrigued, and just such a great book to get you into the summer spirit. And then the other one is a new book that I recently thrifted, but that is this one. So this one is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch, or Welsh, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But this one just follows this girl who gets sent to Italy for the summer, and I don't really think she wants to be there, but she finds a diary that was written by her mum, of all of her mum's like favorite spots in this Italian town, and I think it's set in summer, so she kind of just like goes to all of these towns that her mum really liked. I just think that is so cute and so wholesome, so I'm really, really looking forward to this. And I obviously just love the cover, and I feel like the ice creams just very much give summer, so I'm very, very intrigued for this book. Next up we have a mystery book. The mystery that I have had on my radar at the moment is this one here. So this one is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one follows Grayson and Jameson from the Inheritance Games trilogy. So I read the Inheritance Games trilogy last year and absolutely loved it. And this book came out towards the end of last year, and I just never ever got to it. I really want to read this because The Grandest Game is like the next installment in this kind of like spin-off series, I think. I really want to read that because then we are also getting another new release, I think at the end of this year or beginning of next year. So I really don't want to be 3 books behind, because at the moment I'm 2 books behind. So I really just want to read this and see what I think. Basically, if you've never heard of the Inheritance Games before, basically you are following Avery, and Avery is someone who like struggles to make ends meet. She is working a hospo job alongside school because her like family is really poor. And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, she inherits billions of dollars from this old rich guy who she's never met. And the family get like the very, very small portion of this inheritance, but most of it goes to her. And so the condition that she has to be able to inherit all of this money is that she has to live with this guy's family in their massive mansion for a year, and the whole time she's like working with the family to try and figure out why she's inherited all this money. It was really good, so I'm really excited to continue the world. Next up we have a few like science fiction and dystopian reads. I have this one here. This one is Pandemonium by Lauren Oliver. This is the second book in the Delirium trilogy, and I read Delirium, was it earlier this month? No, last month in August, and absolutely loved it. It was my book club pick because my sister and I did a thing in August where she picked a book for me to read that she really liked and has read, and I picked a book for her that I've read and really liked. So my pick for her was ACOTAR and her pick for me was Delirium. So I loved Delirium, and so I'm really, really excited to go into Pandemonium. I also feel like this cover just very much gives spring. Delirium is set in a world where love is a disease, and as soon as you turn 18 you get cured, but then it's like kind of like things aren't always what they seem, and there's like rumors of like this other place where a lot of people live, and there's rumors of like control and stuff from the city. So yeah, it was really, really good, very, very fast paced, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm really excited to continue the trilogy. My sister currently has got the 3rd book called Requiem, which she's read, and she said it was really good. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes, because book 1 ended on a really, really good part, so it kind of makes you like want to keep reading. So very, very intrigued. I have also got on my radar the 3rd book in the Loop trilogy. I feel like I have been an absolute broken record with the Loop trilogy, but they are written by Ben Oliver, and I read the Loop last year and absolutely loved it, and then I read the Block a couple of months ago. It was okay, it wasn't as good as the Loop, but there was still parts in it that I really, really liked. So I'm really intrigued to see where they go in the 3rd book, just because of how the 2nd book ended. This is a cross between The Maze Runner and The Matrix, so it is a YA series, same with Delirium. You are following Luca, and Luca is locked up in a prison called the Loop. It kind of gives like solitary confinement. The prison is controlled by AI, and you can do these things called delays, which is where they like test new technology on you to try and enhance life in the outside world, and every time you take a delay, your death date gets pushed back. You can kind of like live longer. One day the entire system glitches, and it's kind of like a race to escape. I don't really want to say much more than that, but it was really, really fast paced. Even the 2nd book was like quite fast paced in certain parts, but I'm really keen to finish the trilogy. this year and kind of see where it goes. I also just love these covers. Like, all of the covers in this series are so good. The last kind of like science fiction slash dystopian book that I have got on my radar is Wool. Now this one is by Hugh Howey. This is the first book in the Silo trilogy. Silo is kind of like an underground bunker where people live because the world was radiated. They send people outside to clean who are either people who have broken the law or people who express an interest to go outside because there are rumors that it is safe to go outside, and that the radiation has stopped and that the people in the silo are keeping them there as a means of control. The silo is huge. It's got like 150 floors, and like the higher up you are, the more rich you are, and the lower down you are in the silo is like the more poor that you are. Follow a couple of different people where it's like trying to solve the mystery as to like whether it is safe to go outside or not. So very, very intrigued. I watched the first season of this when it came out on TV and absolutely loved it, and they're currently filming a second season, so you best believe I will be watching that as well when that comes out. But I'm really intrigued to read the series and see where it goes. Hopefully I'm in the same position. My card just got full, so I had to change it over, and my battery also died, so I mean it was good timing with that. Next up we will do some romance. So I feel like in the summer I really like to read a lot of romance because it's light, it's fluffy, it's easy, and they're like books that I really like to read on the beach. First one that I have on my radar is this one here. So this one is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I know this one here has recently been developed into a movie, but I don't want to watch that until I've read this because this is a story that I really don't want to spoil for myself. Yet this chick marries her high school sweetheart, then he gets involved in a plane crash and he is pronounced dead, and so you kind of follow this chickie as she kind of like learns to move on. She finds somebody else, gets engaged to them, and then it turns out that her husband from the start is still alive and that he was just lost for 10 years, and so he's now come back into the picture, and it's kind of like a who will she choose kind of situation. I'm really intrigued to see how she goes. I've also not read a Taylor Jenkins Reid book, so I really want to try her writing and see what I think. It's Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. So it says, good guys don't fall for bad girls. So this one is the second book in the Knock 'Em Out trilogy. I feel like this cover just gives spring as well with the little like flowers and stuff on it. So I read Things We Never Got Over, which is the first book in the Knock 'Em Out series. It was our July book club pick. Now I'm up to book 2, and I think this follows a different character. So like the Knock 'Em Out series is like an interconnected standalone series, which to be honest is quite nice because I wasn't the biggest fan of Knox. I hope that I am more of a fan of this guy. This one is following Nash and Lena. So he's the chief of police. And I don't know, did we meet? Yeah, I think Lena was the girl he used to have a thing with, I think. I really like the small town, Knock 'Em Out town. I quite frankly could live there and be very content. So very intrigued to see where the series goes. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I feel like this is classic to be reading Emily Henry in the summertime. I've only ever read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and it took me a while to get through, which is weird considering it's a short book. But I did really enjoy that. It definitely gave me all the summer feels because I was reading it on the beach. A lot of people really like Emily Henry. So this one you are following Nora, who is a bookworm. She seems like she gets employed as a literary agent, and then she ends up having to travel with her sister, which is kind of cute. She meets this bartender called Charlie, who is a book editor from the city, who is also on holiday in this small town. This one also seems super duper short as well, like yeah, like just over 320 pages, so we love that. The next book in the Addicted / Calloway sister series, so this one is Addicted for Now by Krista and Becca Ritchie. So if you're not familiar with the Addicted series, you have the Addicted series and the Calloway sister series. You can read them separately, but you are recommended to read them together. Addicted series follows Lily and Lo, and then you have the Calloway sister series, which follows Rose and Daisy, who are Lily's sisters. I'm really intrigued to see where the series goes. So I read Addicted to You and Ricochet last year and really enjoyed them both. I definitely enjoyed the first book more than the second book. I'm really intrigued to see where they go in the third book, and I know again this is a well loved series on BookTok and BookTube and Bookstagram, so yeah, it'll be nice to get back into it. It's also a long series, it's like 10 books, so I've got a long road ahead of me. The next book that I have on my radar is actually my book club pick for October. I had to think about that for a minute. For book club next month in October, we are doing a book each that is on our 24 books to read in 2024. So my sister has a list and I have a list. So I picked The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, which she has my copy of, so she is going to read that, and then on my 24 books to read in 2024 she picked the cheat sheet. So very, very excited to go into this. This one is by Sarah Adams. You're following Bree, who is in love with her best friend and NFL player Nathan. She was a ballerina but now owns a dance studio. She seems like she's struggling to like keep it afloat, and then Nathan comes to the rescue and buys the entire building, and Bree is not happy about it. I think there's also a bit of fake dating because of a viral video where people think that they're together but they're not. So very, very intrigued. I know a lot of people really, really like this book. I also really want to read this because the second book, the rule book, just came out in this series. Also, we recently got When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect published here in New Zealand, which I am so excited about because I have had When in Rome on my list for so long to read because everyone loves When in Rome. So I definitely want to get a bit of a Sarah Adams kick. The last kind of romance book that I have on my radar that I think I want to read either this month or next month because my sister wants to borrow this in November, and that is Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. So this book is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe. So basically in the Magnolia Parks series you have Magnolia Parks and BJ, and then you have Daisy, Christian, and her brother Julian. So this is like the first book in the Daisy Hates series. So I know that a lot of people really, really love this series. I read Magnolia Parks for the first time last year and I did actually really enjoy it. So I am very excited to go into Daisy Hates. I also love this cover. I feel like it very much gives spring summer. I think this was also in my list from last year, but I just never got round to it. So I'm very intrigued. The next romance book that I have on my radar is a new release, which I'm really, really excited to get my hands on. As I'm filming this, I think it has just come out. I just haven't bought it yet. And that is Daydream by Hannah Grace. This one is like my most anticipated new release for this year. So this one is the third book in the Maple Hills series, and all I know about it is that it's Henry's book, and I think the love interest is tutoring Henry. And I have loved Henry from Icebreaker. I don't think he was in Wildfire very much, but you get to know his personality a lot in Icebreaker, and I just think the guy is such a sweetheart. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading his story. I also really, really love the cover. I think it's absolutely stunning. So you have Icebreaker, which is the first book, which I read last year and really enjoyed. Then I read Wildfire this year in February and again really enjoyed it. In this series you get a lot of like found family, and Hannah Grace just writes friendship groups really, really well. It's kind of like an interconnected standalone series where you have like a different character per book. The epilogue of Wildfire will spoil Icebreaker, so in my personal opinion it is better to read them in order than to read them out of order. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for this one here as well. And then the last book that I have for my spring summer TBR is actually a memoir, and it's a newer one that I picked up in my thrift with me video. So if you guys missed that and you're into thrifting, then I'll leave that video down below. One More Croissant for the Road by Felicity Cloak. Now originally I picked it up because of the map on the inside. Like I just thought this was such a cute map. It's a true story on this chick who cycled all around France to find all the like best restaurants everywhere, and I feel like that very much gives summer. I also just feel like this cover is giving summer with like all the food and the drinks and the cycling and stuff. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. So there we go guys, those are all of the books that I have have kind of like on my radar for spring and summer. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Please make sure to turn on the notifications and check out my social media. It's always linked down below in the description box. If you guys want to watch any more book related videos, whether that is like book hauls, wrap-ups, TBRs, I will leave my playlist down below called Reading, because all of those videos are in that playlist. And I've really enjoyed filming a lot of book content because I've always been a reader ever since a very young age. Let me know down below if you guys have read any of these books, or if you want to read any of these books after this video. Then hopefully it's given you at least one recommendation of a book that you might want to pick up as well. That is everything, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!